Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Forge of Fitness podcast. Great to be with you guys. Um, so Rob and I are back. We're back for the attack. Today we're gonna go over some kind of last episode we went over the ACFT and kind of the general stuff about it, and now today we're gonna go over actual kind of specific training tips, specific movements, things like that. We're not really going to go into rep schemes, but go into stuff that's really going to benefit you for the overall test, stuff that carries over for your overall fitness, and things that we think are going to be hidden keys that we need to relay out to you guys.
Absolutely.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm good. Hanging in there. We're kind of under a quarantine right now for this coronavirus. I've been working from home all week. I'm getting a little stir crazy here in this house.
Oh, geez, really? Damn. All right.
Yeah, so working through that, and hopefully we can get a good show out here today, so we can help you guys out. Any active duties that are tuning in or watching the video on YouTube. Hopefully we can get you some good training tips to kind of guide your training in the right direction. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Please hit the subscribe button. We're doing pretty good on YouTube, so thankful for that. If you're watching here on Twitch, hit that follow button. We'd love for you guys to come back and hang out with us. I see Meza is here, so thank you. What's up, man? How's it going?
There he is.
What's going on? So we did go over the ACFT, so we're gonna keep this semi-short, to the point, so that we can make sure that we get as much content as we can, as quickly as we can, make this video as easy to watch as possible. So we went over the 6 events. So if you're interested in what the events hold, watch our last YouTube video. That will tell you everything you need to know about what the actual events are. So today, like Nick said, we are going to go over some training tools. Nothing too specific in terms of programming, just kind of movement basics, just to kind of give you an idea of how to structure your training to get the best out of this test. So the first test is that 3 rep max deadlift with the hex bar.
Yeah.
Leg heavy, obviously. It's a heavier event. It is going to test your top end strength from pulling off the ground, making sure that you're connective, everything is kinetically connected, and getting the most off the ground as possible. So I made up this little Google sheet, which I'm going to drag to and from every time we talk about something new. So the first one is the deadlift, as my screen comes up here. So as I said, leg heavy is going to be your main focus, right? So squatting is going to be always number one. No matter what the training event is, what your goals are, you have to squat. Yep. Have to get the legs, hips, and trunk strong to carry over to every event, especially this one, okay?
Especially, yeah.
So I gave you guys a little bit of reps ideas here. So you obviously don't want to just do 1 rep maxes every time you go into the gym. You do want to build off of different rep schemes to build different energy systems, different types of endurance, whether it be just 5 reps all the way up to 10. But give you an idea here for the squat, and this is the same with the deadlift. It's working up to 5 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes, 1 rep maxes for the day, kind of seeing how you're feeling for that day. If you do want to continue on to build some volume, you can do some back offsets, which I'll write in here as we go. That always helps as well. Testing that high end strength, as well as trying to get some volume thereafter. So like going down to 90% for 2 sets of 5, down to 80% for 2 sets of 5, stuff like that. Just building off of each other, just trying to build that high end strength. Obviously you need to train a deadlift. Okay. We talked about how this test is done with the hex bar, which is that circular or hexagonal bar that goes around you. You kind of step in the middle of it with the handles. Yes, you do want to get some practice in there, because that itself is going to be a skill, is just being used to using that hex bar. I know you had mentioned that when you used it, it wasn't like, there's something different about it, obviously, that you weren't used to. What was that again?
Yeah. When you grab it, obviously, like we talked about, the handles are pointed down. The handles that jut up are pointed down. So you're actually grabbing at the level of the collars. And so you're kind of at that level. But then the thing is, you have about this much bar to figure out where you want to place your hand. Mm-hmm. So how that's important is you have to figure out where that balance point is for you. I mean, the first time I grabbed it, it just rolled forward, and I had to put it back down and then really find where the middle was. So finding that middle ground is really important, because it's not only just a balance thing, that'll transition to a successful lift.
Mm-hmm. So this, I think the hex bar is important to get reps in, just to get used to that. But I feel like in terms of actually training the strength, you're going to be able to put more weight and build more overall with the normal barbell. That should be the basis of your training. The hex bar should be just be added in so that you're not blindsided when you get into the test.
Absolutely.
Along with legs, obviously this is going to be a posterior chain heavy movement. I mean, 3 reps is not a lot, but of course you still have to have a strong back, strong erectors, strong, glutes, hams, stuff like that, just to make sure that you're able to consistently get reps up every time. So I added in some accessory here with back extension and good morning. That's going to be huge just to just build off of that posterior chain, trying to make it as strong as possible so that you can, once you get under the bar, you feel confident that you're going to be able to get the most out of this test. So that's going to be huge. Before we keep going here, Meza, if you're still here, how do we sound? Does everything sound good? And we won't wait for him to respond.
Meza.
So the next one, we have the hand release push-up, which if you want more information about the hand release push-up, please check out Nick's blog, which he just posted on our website.
Oh, yeah.
The blog is popping off right now, so thank you everyone who's tuning into the blog. Nick's been doing an awesome job with keeping that up and running. It's been outstanding. So hopefully I can keep up with the technology portion so we don't have any other issues. Nick's doing his part with the blog. I need to do my part with the technology. So hopefully everything sounds good. All right. So next one is the hand release push-up. So this is more of we talked about the deadlift was a top end strength type of test. This is going to be more of a muscular endurance type of test. The upper body extremities, just being able to do multiple reps over a lot of time, right? Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, obviously you want to get stronger on the upper body. You want to be able to push as much weight as possible so that your body itself feels lighter, right? So starting off with the bench press, okay? Bench press is going to be your bread and butter for getting stronger with that pushing. So again, same ideas with the squat and the deadlift, right? 5 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes, 1 rep maxes with back offsets. That's going to be your, it's a simple way to program. It's kind of depending on how you feel that day. That kind of governs how you train that day, which is really easy to comply to, right? It's not like, I have to hit this weight for this day, right? So 5 rep maxes or rep maxes in general are great just for someone who's not like, their only job is to work out, right? They have life that goes on. It kind of gives you more of a flexibility to, I'm going to get the best of what I can for today, right? And that's that, right? So that's huge for people that have careers, have jobs that they do to the day, and working out and the training is just kind of extra to get ready for their testing. So obviously bench press is going to be huge. Getting better at the push-up itself, making sure that your technique is good, watching YouTube videos. Obviously, you can ask us questions if you want more technique ideas for push-up to get the most out of it. That's going to be huge. And just, setting a timer. See how many you can get in 10 seconds, in 20 seconds, in 30 seconds, in 40 seconons. Set yourself a time and try to max out. That's the only way you're going to be able to build up that muscular endurance is by doing that itself. Now I'm kind of going to stick right here. So you had mentioned that this one is much different because it is the hand release, right? Normally it was the regular push-up. What did you notice that was different in this new test with the hand release push-up versus what you would do previously?
Okay, so previously, it's just regular push-ups. You touch your chest to the ground, or however you can break 90. You can't bounce off the ground and you just push. See, the thing is, you could stay loaded as you push. You could just kind of use that momentum, and you can use the stretch reflex. But also, the biggest difference is you have to take your hands off the ground, go do a T, come back, and then actually initiate another rep. So you lose momentum and you go from an unloaded state, and you have to actually get that explosive strength to get back up, to stand up the push up. But what will probably, those movements are different, and it's what delineates the two, but will most likely be a challenge for some people is the hand placement. So the hand placement for this one dictates that you have to have your index finger within the outside border of your shoulder. So if it's a bird's eye view, you shouldn't be able to see your index fingers. They should be hidden. So that might be a closer grip for some people. Meaning, what does that mean? That means more tricep stimulus. So if you got weak triceps, or is that something that you're not used to, that's what your focus needs to be. And then another thing is just putting your hands out to the side. Huge rotator cuff and like Terry's minor, Terry's major stimulus. Like my back felt like it worked So just be on the lookout for that.
Some more like scapular type of accessory work. So more like crossover symmetry, exercise bands, or doing pull aparts, face pulls, things like that. They're going to work the shoulder blades and the upper back. That's good.
Yep.
So along with push-ups, obviously the pushing motion is just the being able to stay tight and stay in a good, solid push-up position. Because I understand that you would be no rep if you're dipped too far. Is that correct?
If you dip too,
if your butt dips.
Yeah. If you don't keep a solid, strict graders, the standard is, you keep a solid, plane, and you're kind of like just doing your push-ups like this. Any sagging or bowing or, sticking your butt up, you should get a no rep.
Yeah, so something that could help with that and just making sure that you can stay square and stay tight the whole time is just building that the core strength, right? It seems simple, but it really is going to help a ton. So there's 2 different planks you can do for this one. Obviously, there's a ton of plank variations, but just on a basic level for what we're going over today is the regular plank where you're on your elbows. Well, that's what I call a regular plank. If you ask a yoga person what their regular plank is, they would be doing this push-up plank. So push-up plank is where you're in a push-up position, arms extended, making sure that your core is staying as tight as possible so you can just hold it. Just making sure that your butt doesn't dip. Maybe have a partner that can keep you honest too. Stay square the whole time. Regular plank obviously is going to be huge. Again, set yourself a time. Hold for 30 seconds. Get better. Hold for 40 seconds. Hold for 50 seconds. Hold for a minute. And just keep getting better. Each time you do
Tabata.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. That's the great way to start, just to kind of get yourself some volume in. But I think that at the end of the day, the being able to hold it as long as you possibly can with perfect, nice square, straight line technique is going to be the best carryover to the push-up.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there's going to be some other pressing and pushing type of accessory that can go in. The dip, a lot of people call it the upper body squat. It is a hugely beneficial accessory movement for pushing. Getting really good at dips is going to have a huge carryover to just being able to do any kind of pushing motion, especially a push-up. So that's going to be awesome. Getting those triceps just stronger. Tricep extension, and just kind of something to go to failure. Build the muscle group, because not only do you want to be good with endurance, but to build the muscle itself is never going to hurt. Just having bigger musculature in that area, have a little bit of hypertrophy, and getting stronger in that regard. We kind of added this when we did our failed test. We kind of added this at the end, and this is something that we can just add into the kind of the bench press and the push up. Ooh, hammer smash Sage. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Thank you. The strict press is going to be huge for us to just get stronger and that pushing motion. So overhead pressing is going to have a huge carryover to push-up. So same thing as the bench press and the squat and the deadlift, right? Something that you can go with 5 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes, 1 rep maxes, just to kind of build that overall strength. It's going to only have a carryover to the push-up, which is awesome. So let me pull this back over, get ready for the next one. Slave to Hockey, that's my dad. What's up? How's it going? He's in the chat. What's going on? All right,
up, Papa Fig?
So the next one is the standing power throw. So this one is definitely an explosive motion, one that you're taking the ball from the ground up and over your head. It is a 10-pound ball. You're measured by distance. How many attempts do you get at this?
I know it's 3, but I think you get it's either 2 or 3, and you get a certain amount of faults. So the thing is, it's not very many. It behooves you. You'll probably go over this just to practice, because there is a line and there is a fault. So getting familiar where that fault is in your actual release and extension is key.
Absolutely. So we discussed in our first one, when we talked about the events themselves, of how important triple extension is going to be. Single explosive movements are going to be your best friend when it comes to training for this one. This is probably the one, in my opinion, that's probably the most fun to train for. In my opinion, I love weightlifting. That's kind of my thing. So I'm always gonna have a bias and say that this one is probably the most fun to train for. So something that we can think about that's more practical for everyone, more universal type movements are the power movements. So power clean, power snatch. Always going to be most bang for your buck, getting more bang for your ass.
Get a little hypertrophy there.
more bang for your buck in terms of getting better at explosive movements. It's just the way you can add weight and add resistance to the actual explosive movement, and getting into triple extension, getting into that whipping motion of getting your body as tall as possible with that ball, right? So the biggest thing I'm going to say in terms of power clean, power snatch, make sure you have someone that knows what they're doing that can teach you these movements. I talk about in the previous podcast that it is important to find a coach that can do this. These two movements are probably going to be the most important for that, right? In terms of finding someone who knows exactly what they're doing that can help you make sure you're doing them safely and effectively. Because I can't tell you how many times there's people that, they power clean as power snatch, but they're not actually carrying anything over that's going to help them with the balls. There's so many faults, and different technique errors that are going to hinder you. Exactly right. Not getting your hips open enough, not getting tall enough. So again, finding someone that literally actually knows what they're talking about, not just someone who thinks they do. That's gonna be the only way you're gonna see benefit from these. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with these big power movements with a barbell, that's fine. That's normal. I mean, a lot of people don't. So there are other ways. There are. Oh, hello. I lost my page. Oop. Let me pull it up here. So that's the box jump and the long jump, right? So box jump is literally just going to be a way that you can get explosive upwards, right? It's going to be able to get your body as tall as possible, as long as possible, so that you can get the most out of this jump, right? So in my opinion, the best way is just going to be to try to set yourself up for a max height, right? Max height with the box, just trying to get into a 1, right? One really tall box, and just keep working yourself up. Start with 20 inches, go to 22, go to 24, go to 26. So over time, you can get a little bit better each time and get more explosive with each jump, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you'll find out once you get to that triple extension, at least just to that end range explosive motion, you'll find how much that carries over and actually propels you up the box, or when you get in the end range motion with the triple extension, how much energy, when you get it orchestrated perfectly, how much energy you can transfer from what you're pushing on the ground to what you throw overhead. Once you get that working in a one coherent motion, I mean, that's going to be your optimal end range power output. And the thing is, it takes practice. And you have to feel comfortable getting into those triple extensions when you need, or that triple extension each independently when you need to. So it's just, this one's huge about practice. And then once you have it down and you actually have the skill down, then I think you're going to cover this. You can add stuff like increased load. You can use, like, instead of 10-pound ball, you can use a 15, 20, and then start to go for distance. That way the ball feels lighter. But the only way you can go up to that actual, get up those loads, is if you have it down perfectly, like the perfect triple extension, and it's all orchestrated from the ground to the release.
You give me 1 second while I pull this back up here, guys. I lost my Google sheet. Okay, perfect.
Speaking Google.
All right. So, I did it again. Okay, there we go. There we are. Okay, so yes, I think the biggest one for this one is going to be just getting reps and reps and reps and reps with the actual test itself. This is not something that you can just walk up to and expect to get the best, most effective throw every time, right? So a big thing about this is going to be how your ball angles, right? How the angle of the throw is that perfect 45-degree angle of getting the most efficient height and distance in terms of what the angle is, right? That's 45 degrees. Now, there's no way that you can expect to walk yourself up to the line and get to 45 degrees on just your first throw. You're either going to throw it right into the dirt, or you're going to throw it way up in the air, right? So you have to practice it. It's like a shot putter, right? You don't just walk up to a shot put and expect to throw max distance. Those people train for years to get the right angle, the right launch point, the right ball path to get the most distance, right? And this is no different. I mean, this is literally what it is. It's just a shot put in more functional form, right? So,
absolutely,
like you said, once you start to get that comfortability of getting the consistent throws every time, that's when you could start adding load, right? The test is with a 10-pound ball, which is not heavy, right? Everyone should be able to throw that. But there's nothing wrong with, getting practice in with a 15, with a 20, with a 25, using a wall ball, a medicine ball that can, that you can just launch for as much. I mean, it's going to fly. It's going to feel different, obviously, than the sand ball that you're doing the test with, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting reps in that are going to make you stronger in the actual event itself, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And then just a cautionary tale. Just I was very surprised when I took the test at how actually kind of up I had to throw the ball rather than behind me. So getting that hang time is actually pretty important.
Absolutely.
So my first throw I went right in the dirt, like you said. My second throw I had to throw up and back, and it was more successful.
Absolutely. So the next one is the sprint drag, right? So sprint drag carry. This one was a little bit tougher to program because it's not something that you necessarily do quite often. This one is more your high-end work capacity type of test, right? It's a little bit longer of a test where you're going to feel your lactic acid build up really, really heavy. You're going to get that burn in your legs, burn in your lungs that you're not going to feel through a lot of these other events, right? So this one's a little bit tougher to program for. I try to make it a little bit more practical for everyone that may not have all the equipment that they may need. That like someone like, if you have access to a full CrossFit gym, you might have this kind of stuff. So I made it a little bit more practical for everybody that may not have access to those things like sleds and things of that nature. So first and foremost is just getting effective with your sprinting, right? So 20-yard sprint, 10-yard sprint. There's two reasons why I have those 20, and this can be added as like I said here, 30 and 40-yard sprints as well. Really, what you're trying to do is for the 10, you're getting better at the takeoff, right? We want to make there's not a lot of room for error, right? So we want to make every single step that you have here. What's happening? Hold on.
What happened?
It's saying it's muted, but I don't know how. Can we get type 1 in chat if you can hear us? Type 1. Saying it's muted, but I don't.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Anyways, so back in with.
I promise we will figure this.
Yeah, we're learning, guys. So bear with us here. Okay. So again, kind of come back to this. So making every step as efficient as possible, right? So your takeoff step, making sure that you're getting as much power into the ground as you possibly can. 20-yard sprint. This is your ability to, type 1. Perfect. Thank you. 20-yard sprint. This is your ability to build strength and then break down, right? So not only is the takeoff step is important, but you have to stop to pick up this sled and drag it back. So, right? So breaking down those chop steps, getting yourself to come all the way to a stop so you can come into those, the sled itself is going to be super important, right?
Absolutely.
So that, again, just getting faster in general. That's where the 30 and 40, being able to get to top speed, because you're not going to be able to do that in 10 yards. That's just a takeoff step. So, and then for getting used to the actual pull itself, you have to pull, right? You have to be able to be doing the drag while you're tired. That's the only way you're going to be able to get better and get faster with these things, is putting yourself in the scenario so you're not shocked by how terrible you feel in the middle of it. Right? It's like when if you're a CrossFitter and you do Fran, right? You know it's going to suck. So you just got to kind of be able to handle yourself and handle the suckness until it's over, right? And that's the same thing here, right? It's
be comfortable in that state.
Exactly. Yeah. So dragging, just getting reps in with dragging is going to be huge. Adding weight to the drag if you can, if you have access to those types of things. But also something that's going to be huge for just building kind of lactic endurance is going to be a plate push. This is the same you can do it. It's like a sled push or something like that. It's literally if you have like turf or carpet or something in your gym, just on the floor, just putting a bumper plate or a 45-pound steel plate on the ground and just pushing it across the floor. There's nothing better for building lactic endurance in your quads than just literally pushing something across the floor.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone's ever done it, they know how crappy that is. And like, I know I did it in college when we did for baseball and stuff like that. So anyone that's done college athletics knows how bad that sucks. So the next one is the leg tuck. So this is event 5 of 6. This is the one that was a little more controversial in regards to people telling us how they felt about it. Kind of
Right.
a weirder test that wasn't quite what you guys were expecting. But there's a lot of cool things we can do to train this. It's not untrainable. So the leg tuck itself is literally is a core movement, right? But there's more to it than just having strong abs. So first of all, though, we did talk about strong abs, right? So doing sit-ups for high reps, just getting the endurance of that midsection, that's going to be huge for you guys. Toes to bar, strict toes to bar. If you're into more gymnastics, it's going to be more of a carryover to what this event actually is, since you are hanging from the pull-up bar. Toes to bar, strict toes to bar. I think strict toes to bar is probably your strict toes to elbows, or I'm sorry, knee to elbows, things like that.
Yeah,
that's going to be
elbows for sure.
That's going to be your biggest bang for your bucks. That's the closest carryover you have to what the event actually is. So getting better at those, because not only does it help your core, but it also helps the grip, which we'll get into here in a second. Next one is a plank, which we talked about in the pull-ups, in the push-up test. So obviously just having a strong core in general is going to carry over to just the muscular endurance of being able to hold on and do a lot of reps within this test.
Spot on.
And then pull-ups, bar hangs. This is just something to get that musculature strong of being able to hang from that pull-up bar. I know in this one you are hanging like this, right? You're hanging with your hand to hand, so you're not actually in a pull-up position, but just being able to have that musculature be used to hanging for a long period of time is going to have huge carryover. Pull-ups, just getting stronger with the lats and the pulling, of course with the grip as well, is going to be huge for just being able to hang onto the bar for a long time. Now this one, bar hangs. This one is literally just it's literally what it sounds like, right? Just hanging from the bar. Set yourself a time, hold for 30 seconds, hold for 40 seconds, and then try to beat yourself later. Yeah, that's going to be huge. And then obviously there's a million and one things you can do to help your grip. Farmer's carries are huge. Plate pinches are huge. You can put those together, plate pinch carries. There's so many things, rope climbs, rope pulls, literally anything you could do that's going to literally make your forearms go, blast off with get that blood flow through the forearms. It's going to be huge for being able to hold on to that bar for a long period of time.
Absolutely.
When you did the test, when you tested it out, what was the one thing that shocked you the most with this one?
The one thing that shocked me the most was, first of all, the grip was weird. I never do anything like that with, I'm either doing pull-ups or, sometimes chin-ups, but the grip was strange, and you kind of like strangle your head in there because you're like this. But it's just kind of, you have to do that lean. You have to lean back, and how much pulling there actually was, because you have to do about a quarter pull-up and stay there until your knees actually meet your elbows. So not only does it have to be, you have to have your pullers that are working good and your grip, but you have to be orchestrated. You actually have to do it in one smooth movement. And then also there's no kipping, and I butterfly everything. That's just what I do. And so I had to kind of tell myself, hey, keep yourself still, and you do start to swing. So you have to have that core stability to actually get yourself to stop moving. So you'll get docked off.
When you were hanging, obviously you said this felt weird for you. Did you feel like you were kind of cut off oxygen wise in terms of your neck?
No. It's just you can't really get a full extension, as if when you're doing a pull up and you come down all the way, you could essentially rest there for a little bit.
Sure.
You're always kind of having some type of actual muscle engagement. So if that's something you're not that good at, you might want to tackle that. And something that might be a little bit more controversial, but 100% true, is if you're struggling with this and you happen to be a little bit heavier, your best friend will probably be to lose a little bit of weight. And that's something that will directly 100% carry over. Think about doing them with weight vests versus not, or with ankle weights versus not. It's a big difference. So
you're exactly right. And I think that, as you're training for it, if you are losing weight, it's like you're doing it with a weight vest to start off with, right? So once you lose weight, it's going to feel that much easier, like you're doing pull-ups with a weight vest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last test is Old Faithful, right? The one you're gonna see every time. There's no getting around it. It's gonna be in every test till as long as we can think of it. That's a 2-mile run. Okay. There's a ton of ways to get better at running. But in terms of getting the most bang for your buck, there's a million and one running programs. Hal Higdon has his whole series about different trainings.
Shout out to Hal Higdon for
10Ks, half marathons. He's is pretty famous for those things. But this is only 2 miles, right? So
yeah.
There are things that you can simply just put into your existing training that will carry over to just that, right? So let's bring this guy last part over here. Boop. All right, so 400-meter repeat. If anyone's done this, they know how bad these kind of suck. But again, if you're trying to just get better with what you have, this is going to be the most efficient way to get better at simple running, right? So 400-meter repeats, to think about it as a track, right? 1 lap around the track, you rest 1 to 1, right? So it takes you 2 minutes to run 1 lap, rest 2 minutes, okay? Or you can set yourself like a set time to be resting. So no matter how long it takes you to run it, you're going to rest 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, if you're really having trouble with that recovery time, like you can't go 1 for 1, because 1 for 1 will work swimmingly. I remember when I wasn't too in shape, I would just kind of wait till I wouldn't wait forever, but I would wait till I at least had like my breath, and then I could, because the thing is, it's not going to be effective if you don't recover somewhat. So you may have to finish the repeat and then kind of just play it by ear. And then from there, the next time, make sure you keep track of what that rest time was, shorten it just a little bit.
Absolutely. Then we can kind of get into mile for time, 2 mile for time. It's going just from a shorter distance up to, obviously just getting more comfortable with longer distances. But you can retest that. The biggest thing that you want to, with these tests, especially for such a short run, is something that you can retest pretty easily and be able to push yourself to try to beat your previous scores. So 1 mile run, 2 mile run, those things that can be timed. Obviously, the test itself is a 2 mile run, so nothing wrong with testing it over and over again. Just try to get better at it. That itself is going to get you better at running, but just doing that itself is probably not the most efficient way to get better as a whole. Then we have our long runs that you can mix in. I would recommend probably just once a week if running is something that's a weakness for you that you're going to be working on quite often. I wouldn't do a longer run of 2+ miles more than once a week. If this is something that's newer to you and you're not like a runner, as it were, just setting yourself go on trackmyrun.com and just pick a track, pick a trail. Map it out so you know exactly how far you're going. There's apps you can use like Strava, which have a GPS with your phone. That's what I use when I run. That can tell you exactly how far you've gone when you're finished. So you don't you just run. When you get back to your house, you take your app out, you say stop, and it tells you how long you went, and you can just kind of go from there. There's no, you don't have to time it. For instance, you don't have to do the same track again. It's just being able to build that overall capacity of that longer, higher end endurance. And then something that's really cool about endurance work is that there's so many different things you can do to get better at everything, right? So what I have here is mixed modality monostructural. What that means is just being able to maybe just swim for a long period of time. Ride a bike for a long period of time. You can get on the rower for a long period of time. Anything that's going to be, 10, 20, 30 minutes of work is going to have a huge carryover to your overall capacity for this 2 mile run, so that the 2 mile run itself doesn't feel so bad, right? We don't want you to go into the 2 mile run and think, wow, this is really long, right? This is the longest run I've ever done. That is, if that's your thought going into this, something's gone horribly wrong. You should have done something longer than this, so that the 2 mile run feels medium, if anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you were to add, if you're someone that has a standing power throw down and you're at your standing power throw, you get to that 10-pound ball and you're like, this is light. It should feel like that when you get to test day for the 2 mile run. You should be like, hey, I've been knocking out 5Ks, running at my 2 mile pace, or at least a little bit over. This is nothing. Because the thing is, on test day, man, you've got some adrenaline. But the only thing I can really, the couple takeaways I want to put out there is, it is the end of the test. You've already done 5 events. Your legs will feel a little funny after the deadlift and the standing power throw for sure. And then also make sure you're comfortable at running your actual 2 mile run pace. It's okay, like if you've just been doing 10 miles, 8 miles, these long slow distance, that's great. It builds capacity, but you need your legs and you know how it feels to actually run your 2 mile pace.
So something that you can maybe add into at the end of your training for the day, right? That can be since it is the last test, it's not so wrong to just throw that in to be the last thing you do on your training days. Right? So, for example, if you're training running 2 or 3 times a week, right? If something that, like for me, that's a weakness of mine. So that's something if I needed to get better at, I would be adding in 2 to 3 times a week. That would be the last thing I would do that day to have the same kind of feeling that I'm going to have when the test day comes around. Like I'm like that already tired, already a little bit physically exhausted feeling.
Totally.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the test, right? We threw a ton of information at you guys really, really fast. We want to make sure this YouTube video is viewer friendly. So if you do have more questions about that, in terms of how I would or how we would program this more specifically, you can reach out to us. Both, like if you have simple questions, you can ask us in the chat if you're here right now. If
Absolutely.
you are watching on YouTube, you can leave them in the comments. We're going to be answering YouTube comments. But if you want a more in-depth way of getting more of my personal opinion of how I would program these things into an existing program, you can email me at foragerfitness@outlook.com. And I will we'll do a really cool like breakdown of what your goals are, what your weaknesses are, and we can talk about how to program these training ideals into your training right now, your training that you're doing right now. We can definitely help with getting it more exact and making sure that you're getting the most out of it to get better at the tests.
That's it.
And that's it.
Good guidance right there. Yeah. So follow the blog, foragerfitness.wordpress.com. Check us out. Follow the blog. We have 3 more events coming out, so 3 more articles for the ACFT series, and then we'll eventually we're going to be putting programming on there for you guys. That's going to update you guys via email, all that stuff. Yep. And I'm at Forager_Nick, and you are on Instagram, and you are
at Coach Rob_ on Instagram.
There we go.
On Instagram.
Hit us up. We are willing to just program, chat, anything you want.
Shit, we're down.
Yep. So that's it, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Check this video out, show it to others, and subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night, guys. Have a good weekend.